And we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Divine Feminine on Mondays. And we hope everybody had a beautiful weekend. And this week, Nancy and I are so happy to finally have back with us. Well, when I say back for me, it's more like back with me because I've known this young lady here for about 3 years now. So it's nice to have her back with us. And Ange from her channel is Roots and Waves is here with us today. So hey
Hey.
Ange, thank you for joining Nancy and I. This is the first time you've been on a live in what, over a year?
Yeah. Definitely been a while, so I'm just refreshing myself of how to do this again. So yes.
And for everybody. And Angie's going to give a little introduction about herself in a moment, because we like our guests to share who they are and what they're up to, and then she can go into what she wanted to bring to the show today. But just to let everybody know, Ange last week did a reintroduction video on herself. And fingers crossed that the link works properly. It's in the description below. So be sure to check that out. And then you get like a little bit of a longer version. But before we have her do that, let's just say hi to a few peeps that were here. And Amanda, Tropical Empress and Spirit. Hi, beautiful ladies at Inch. Hi to all beautiful people in chat. This is going to be a great, exciting show. Yes, it is. I have been waiting all week for it. Yay!
Me
So,
too.
so
Yay.
have we. And the very handsome Ramon Moon Scarab is here. So, hello, Ramon. Um, and Dancing Soul Sister is here. Hello, sister. Welcome. See, even Ange said, hi, handsome Ramon. So, he's probably at work right now, kind of going, oh, lady, stop it. But we love our Ramon. And saying hello to everybody. Everyone's saying hello. And yes, thank you for everyone for joining us today during the live and on replay. Please give Ange, Roots and Waves, a big warm welcome. Please be sure to sub and hit that like button. And Soul Sister said, this time I'll be here with you. Yippee. She couldn't make it last week, I think. And I'm just going down. And thank you. Amanda went ahead and put your link for your channel in the description. Thank you, my dear. Aspasia. And woohoo! So we all come from certain circles. So yeah, but isn't it awesome to have Ange back? This is wonderful. Hell on wheels. I love that. Oh my goodness. And let's see. Oh, and so thank you, Amanda, for putting in Nancy's as well, her link.
Oh yeah.
And hi, Beth. Here we are again. So, yep. If anyone didn't catch it earlier this morning, Nancy was on with Gerald and Jane doing readings, confirmation readings, actually. So that was a very interesting concept. Oh, and the lovely Carolyn Booker is here. And Carolyn, were your ears ringing? We were talking about the wonderful show backstage that you and Peter did with Allison, Amanda, and I on Friday night. Absolutely adore you and Peter, and thank you for being here and hanging out with us. And Spiritual Rain is here. Hello, Rain.
Hello.
Yes, thank you for do all the YouTube stuff, and everyone's saying hello to each other. It's 11 p.m. where you are. Oh, it's bedtime for me. Oh, but not today. Too hot to sleep. So, oh my goodness, I don't know where you are, sister. But stay cool. Thanks for hanging out with us. And yes, please say hi to your wonderful husband, Peter. Yes, my Sir Patrick, my Sir Peter. And good morning from down under. Hello, Christina. Thank you for being here. So, wow, we've got 11 people in here already. I'm sure more will be joining us. So today we're going to be talking about a few. Oh, you live in Germany. Oh, girl, I've got a lot of family history from ancestry with Germany. So very cool. And Garnet, hello, Garnet. Saying his wonderful, typical, hellos, doing the poetry with Nancy and I. So, alrighty. So when we invited Ange, we were like, well, what would you like to bring to the show? And Ange is like, I would love to talk about interconnectedness. And we were, talking about a couple different goddesses we wanted to read on. Initially, we were going to do Kali and Maya as well, but that will be an energy for a different show. So today, as you can see with Miss Nancy, she's going to be doing Gaia. She pulled out her branches and her horns and her little wings. I'm going to be doing just a little bit on Isis because we'll be doing a different show in the future on Isis. But Ange, we're excited because Ange is going to be bringing Spider Woman. Sometimes it's grandmother Spider Woman. Sometimes it's just Spider Woman. So without further ado, as they say, whoops, Ange.
There she is.
There she is.
Well, thank you so much for having me. As you know, we've been planning on having me on the show for quite a while, and I've just been experiencing a lot in my life. And so I'm really happy to be well enough to be here. And, I love both of you, and I love the show. I've been a fan of it. So I think you guys started in January, wasn't it? So you've been doing it for a while, right? Yeah.
My goodness. Time flies.
So I try to catch it every Monday. It's like a highlight of my week. And hey, Rain, thank you. Yes, I am healthy and happy. Just one day at a time. That's all we can do, right? So as Heather was saying, I did do a reintroduction of my channel. For any of you that know me, I started off on my channel about 3.5 years ago under the name of Tiny Trinkets and Tarot. And that is because I read in a layered fashion with cards and charms. And I'll show you
their big bowl of charms.
Quickly, my big bowl of charms that we have here.
I love that.
And if we get into readings later, I don't know if we'll have time for that or whatever. I'll definitely do some readings for you guys if you want. But anyway, so the channel, when I started it, I wanted to be a part of the community. I wanted to have a voice. For many, many years, I was just watching many videos, and I just thought, it's time for me to jump in. I want to play too, And so I came up with a catchy little name just to wet my feet a little bit. And then as time went on and life happens, as they say, I just thought that I needed a name of the channel that better represented me and the deeper content in which I would like to create, which is what I'm working on now. And so I developed a name. The name I actually developed, I think, like a year ago, probably over a year ago now. And the name is Roots and Waves. So that's what I go by now. And you'll see all about it in the introduction video of like the details of why I chose that name. But basically, it is more grounded in nature, which is like my spirituality and what I believe in and what connects me to my spirituality. And, just to vaguely describe it, it's like, as we go throughout life, we really do need those roots in our life to sort of stabilize us and support us. Whether that be the people around us or our actual roots that we ground ourselves into the earth so that when the waves come, we are able to sustain ourselves. And there's more to it, of course. There's more details about why I chose the name. So go ahead and check that out. As Heather said, she did put the link in the description. And thank you, Heather. That was very, very kind of you. I appreciate that. And I'm happy to be back in the community and very happy to be here today. So
fingers crossed that it works properly because everyone knows we're in Mercury retrograde right now, and sometimes StreamYard's been doing weird things with YouTube and vice versa. So, but it should be all there and ready to go.
It's all good. If I'm looking down, I looking at chat on my little iPad here. So
yeah, I was going to say, Amanda says, it is so great to see your beautiful face. You are glowing.
Oh, thank you. Part of the glow is a little sweat. It's a little hot here, but thank you.
Wait a minute. Women don't sweat, I've been told by another fellow lady back in my early 30s. We don't sweat, everybody. We glisten.
Okay.
So we're glistening.
Okay.
So
yes.
Glisten away.
I love that. All right. So yes, when I was invited on the show, normally they like to cover a topic and some goddesses, and instantaneously I knew I wanted to cover the topic of interconnectedness. This is a topic that I sort of live my life by, and I believe that part of it is that everything and everyone is interconnected in terms of living and non-living things. So I did take notes because, I am a Virgo and I got to do that kind of thing. So if I'm looking down, I'm just referring to my notes. So interconnectedness, what is that? Interconnectedness is literally the connection between all living and non-living things. Now, you might think it's weird to say like non-living things, like why would that be? But if you think about it, like a cloud in the sky, it's not a living thing, but it is connected to the whole grand scheme of things, right? Or like the wooden table that I'm sitting at. It's not living, but it came from a living tree at one time, and it does tie back into the interconnectedness. There's somebody that made this table. There's somebody that put their time and energy into it, and now I'm using it. Do you see what I mean? So it really is a rabbit hole topic that you could go down and explore so many avenues of it, from the tiny microorganisms to the macro, right? You can really explore it on so many levels. But I believe that interconnectedness is the essence of our existence. I believe that it's like the fabric of the tapestry of which we're woven from. And I will be sharing more about what I feel about that with the Spider Woman, the goddess, and how that ties into interconnectedness beautifully, actually. So if you picture like this expansive net that stretches across not only the universe, but I like to use the word multiverse because I am a firm believer that there's more than one universe out here. I'm sure of it. And so if you can just imagine like this infinite net that stretches across, and I want you to think beyond planet Earth as well, because sometimes for us in our human minds, we kind of think, oh, the universe, and we kind of think, okay, well, there's planet Earth, there's a couple planets here. But if you just think of like the vastness of it, because that, to me, that's what interconnectedness feels like. It's like this infinite threads that continuously weave their way into everything that we experience in our waking life, in our dream lives, in our spiritual lives. And so I also believe that this interconnectedness expands across like thresholds, dimensions, and portals. Like I said, expanding across the multiverse. And so remember, this is just me sharing my personal thoughts and opinions. I know maybe some people don't believe in this sort of thing, but this is just me in my spirituality and how I live my life. So when I think of interconnectedness, I think of literal threads, and for me, for whatever reason, it's a red thread, a specific color that weaves itself and binds us and all living and non-living things together. So I'm just going to read what I wrote here. So everything in some ways connected to the next thing and the next thing and so on. So like one huge cosmic spider web, which we then can connect to mathematics and fractals. This might be, that might be going a little too, that's a whole different show, by the way. But when I talk about fractals, the main thing that comes to mind is the Mandelbrot set. And that is a very specific mathematical equation that was discovered where you can zoom in to any aspect of that image and magnify it millions of times over and over, and you're still going to see the same patterns repeating themselves infinitely. That is interconnectedness. And if you take that, the math and the fractals and like who we are and the substance of all of that, it is in every one of us and everything. And to me, that is like mind-blowing. And again, this is a topic that you can just sort of keep going down like Alice in the rabbit hole, right? Because it's connected to everything. So I'm a very visual person. So whenever I'm trying to study something or learn something or wrap my head around something, I find it very helpful and inspirational to have a visual, whether that be creating it in my own mind or Googling an image, just so I can really, yes, like the Japanese idea of this word. Yeah, exactly. And that's interesting too, Beth, because this idea of interconnectedness, if you pay close attention in all religions, every one of them across the globe, as well as spirituality. So you don't have to be religious, but I just mean spirituality in general. You will find that there is interconnectedness woven into all religions, because ultimately we are all trying to connect to this thing. We can call it whatever we want. You can call it God, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, whatever, whatever your belief is. But ultimately, that is what we're doing, right? We're connecting to this thing that is higher than us, okay? Or energy or frequency or whatever you want to call it, right? So like I said, I often create visuals in my mind to help me better understand. I also find it helpful and inspiring to look at artwork that shows and represents what I'm studying or thinking about. So picture like all of my anatomy and physiology textbooks, my microbiology textbooks. There was somebody who created these images to help us better wrap our minds around and understand what it is we're looking at. And so now I would like to just pull up my iPad here and show you some artwork from a specific artist that I immediately was drawn to years ago. And I think her artwork really represents interconnectedness on a level that I just find fascinating. Her name is Autumn Sky, and she is a painter out of BC in Canada. She's originally from the East Coast here in Canada, but now she resides in BC. And there's one artwork in particular called Light Work. Let's see. My ring light's going to catch it. But anyway, you get the idea there.
Oh, wow.
There we go. And so this idea, right? I mean, now, of course, this is encircling Mother Earth, which is great. But you can see how they're weaving this web, this interconnectedness of all things there. Her other artwork, and I'll just show you quickly. She has a website called autumnskyart.com. Let me see how I can do this. Okay, here. And you can see...
Oh, wow. Look at her work.
that her paintings are just phenomenal.
Beautiful. Oh, look at that crone up there. Oh, my goodness.
And it really shows you that she's connected to that thing that we were just describing. And to me, it just represents this interconnectedness.
Wow.
So, yeah, so she does actually have... this is her website, but you can go to, I believe she has an Etsy shop. Let me see. She has an Etsy shop where you can go and you can buy original paintings if that's your thing, if you can afford to do so. But she does have an Etsy store. And she also has a deck of cards called Inspiration Cards. I know. It's 66 of her paintings in a deck, and I just discovered this the other day, and I thought, oh my gosh, another thing to the wish list. But anyway, so yeah, she has an Etsy store as well.
What's her name, hon? And I can type it into the
her name
chat.
is Autumn Sky. So autumn, like the autumn, like the season, and then sky with an E. So SKYE. Okay. And then her website is autumnskyart.com. Some of you might find that imagery familiar, maybe even the name that's familiar. And that is because she is the artist of the Sacred Rebels.
Oh, okay.
Child. So, speaking of interconnectedness, I'm very familiar with Sacred Rebels, of course. I've had the deck for many years. I work with it. I love this deck. This deck is actually about interconnectedness, and it actually even says that somewhere in the guidebook. But while I was preparing for this live, of course, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I've seen that image before on her website, right? I'm thinking, so I type it in. Autumn Sky Oracle deck? Sure enough. Here it is. So I'm like, oh my God.
Thank you, Rain.
So talk about interconnectedness. All of a sudden, somehow, I knew that this artwork that I had come across like a while ago, but then I'm like, wait a minute, now it's connected back to this Oracle deck. So some people also like to use the word synchronicity, and synchronicity definitely ties into this interconnectedness. So I very much live my life by the interconnectedness of all things and how this web that I had you envision in your mind, we are all part of this cosmic web. And so any thought, any action that we do in life has a ripple effect and affects everybody else on that web. So then we wonder why, and I won't bring the energy down by mentioning, war and sort of lower vibration things. But I mean, we have to be realistic. That does affect us as a whole. It's part of our cosmic web. And so it can be really challenging in the world when we come across things that we feel are out of our control. But I'm here to tell you that you can always make a difference in this cosmic web by being the best version of yourself that you can be, And I mean, we're human. It's not always easy. I understand. Nobody's perfect. But just if we really have interconnectedness at our heart and really understand that our actions and the words that we speak and the way we live matters to such a degree that it's affecting everybody around us, not just the people we live with or the people we are in constant communication with, but people that we don't even like know, because again, we're connected at a soul level. So this whole interconnectedness also goes deeper. If you study Buddhism or if you have read up on Buddhism, this is very much how they sort of like try to live as well, is trying to remember that we're all interconnected in that way. Okay, what else was I going to cover? Oh, and I kind of already touched on this. If you look closely, you'll notice many different cultures, religions, and spiritual traditions that have a similar thread that run through them when it comes to the idea of interconnectedness. This idea that everything in the universe is connected, land, sky, earth, sea, spirit world, physical world, the connections we have to one another and the worlds around us. So, so that I kind of already alluded to that. So now the next thing I want to show you, and I'm going to grab some images to show you as well, because we're all about the visual here on YouTube, is there is something called Indra's Net. And Indra's Net is a concept, a metaphor, like a Buddhist philosophy. And it is all about that interconnectedness. So to help us visualize this concept, let's look at a visual metaphor shared from Buddhist philosophy called Indra's jeweled net. So I'm going to show you quickly a picture, and then I'm going to go into detail about what they talk about. So you can see here, it's a spider's web, of course, but if you look closely, you can see that each dewdrop reflects the other. Okay, so that's important in this concept.
Oh, wow.
That's gorgeous.
Okay.
Oh,
That's beautiful.
Okay, and then here's another one as well.
Oh, that's stunning.
And these are actual photos, right? Not even artwork. And then this one here as well.
No one can do it as good as Mother Nature.
Right.
Nope.
So with that visual in mind, Indra's net, at each juncture lies a jewel, or a drop of dew, if you will. And each jewel reflects all the other jewels in this cosmic matrix. Every jewel represents an individual life form, atom, cell, or a unit of consciousness. Each jewel, in turn, instinctively and intimately connected to all others. So a change in one gem is reflected in all others. So that kind of goes back to what we said about like our actions will affect another, So the moral of this metaphor is that what one person does affects all others, like throwing a pebble in a pond and watching the ripples. Picturing that web again, if you damage one strand of the web, you damage the next, and it sets off this cascade of harm. So what we do, what we say, how we live matters because it affects all others within our cosmic web. We are dependent on one another. As much as some people prefer to be singular and alone, and there's nothing wrong with that, but humans were made for connection. Humans were made to
socialize, to be
one another.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So understanding that we're all interconnected invites us to have more empathy, more compassion, more kindness, and more understanding for one another as we walk through our lives. Interconnectedness invites us to live more mindfully, since the choices that we make literally ripple out across the web that weaves us together. And then I'll read a little quote that I found. It says, just as a single thread cannot create a tapestry on its own, we cannot fulfill our potential or realize our true purpose without acknowledging and embracing our interconnected nature. Interconnectedness transcends borders, division, and this idea of separateness. So that is just a little bit about interconnectedness. As you can imagine, you could take one piece of that and sort of go down a rabbit hole with it. But that is what interconnectedness is, and that is very much what I try to live my life by. Again, it's not always easy. There's always things that are happening, and we are very much affected by the energy around us, and that's globally as well. And as well as what's going on in the cosmos, I believe that we are affected by that as well. So, yeah, I just before I jump into Spider Woman and how this is connected, I just wanted to know, Heather and Nancy, have you thought about interconnectedness, or like, what are your thoughts on the topic, and how do you want to bring that to the table?
Well, just really quick, I just wanted to share some comments that were being made during your initial
Yeah.
when you started. Like Beth has said, she loves the Japanese idea of the red thread that connects us all. And that's also in some artwork, you see that with the fates, with their yarn and their scissors. A lot of times it's shown as red. I know that those who practice Kabbalah have the red thread. So the red is very strong in a lot of different cultures with interconnectedness. And then Garnet decided to give us some beautiful poetry.
Oh,
Weaver of life, let me look and see the patterns of my life gone by shown on your tapestry. So thank you for sharing, Garnet. And really quick too, Carolyn, I wish we would have known Friday. Happy coming up tomorrow, 70th birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday, Carolyn. I wish we had known that Friday. But happy, beautiful birthday to you tomorrow. And Amanda says, I call it the butterfly effect.
that ties into it. Yep. Butterfly effect.
Holly Deshane has joined us, and she said we can either accept we affect the world and the decisions that are made, or we will delay the process. This time jump proves we are on the right path.
Yeah.
Amanda also said everything we say and do has an impact on ourselves and others, and our thoughts turn into manifestations, both good and bad. Yes, and that's where I can go all into the DBT and the interconnectedness with interpersonal, all that good stuff. And spiritual rain. I had an epiphany moment last week and decided my goal in life is to be the kindest person I can be. It's interesting how unnatural that can feel in certain situations.
Yes, especially challenging situations. Absolutely, Rain.
Yes. So I wanted to share some of the comments that I've been starring from people.
Thank you.
And let's see, just making sure. Let's see. All righty. So let me give it. Were you done, Ange? And I'll give it over to Nancy.
Oh, yeah.
And then Nancy can explain how interconnectedness, how she relates to it.
Well, I have always for as long as I can remember, felt that we are all connected. That's where empathy comes from. And what Ange was describing, appears to be very complicated, but often precious things are. And I think that when we realize that we're all connected, we make wiser choices, and we strive to be the person we were meant to be. That's what I have.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And Ange, do you still have more, or do you want Nancy to go into the goddess that she connected with for today?
Well, I don't think she's got.
You got more? Oh, okay.
Spider Woman.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
That's
and
okay,
with me, just really quick, interconnectedness. Everything's all connected. I learned that at a very young age from Star Wars. It was something that was always innate. It just felt natural that when I would sit and watch the movie and heard Yoda and Ben Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi explain that everything's all connected, the rocks, the trees. It was, for me as a kid, was and so I've grown up so as a child, I've always known about that connection and the beautiful, when you see the webs, and again, like when I got into college and learned about religion and how everybody is different or spiritualities are different, and yet, like Ange said, there's that one thread that ties us all together, and that's that divine spirit, that great spirit. I love how a lot of the native indigenous cultures of North America refer to as great spirit, because it is a great spirit. It's sometimes, it's unknowable. It's knowable, but yet it's unknowable, and it shows that the cause and effect of how we have to each other, the land, the animals. It all has a rippling effect. And that comes a lot too through in some of the poetry that I write. So for
Mhm.
me, that's for me interconnectedness, and things that I've learned through DBT, with relationships and understanding people's perspective and trying to learn different ways of approaching, whether it be conflict, sadness, grief. So it just goes and reflects how we really are all completely connected. Everything, microcosm, macrocosm. So
Yeah,
give it back over to
absolutely.
Ange.
That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing, ladies. Yay. Yeah, it's a topic that excites me and lights me up because I just feel like so passionate about it.
No, it
I'm
doesn't
like,
light you
come
up.
on. I'm like, how come nobody's
She's
like,
glowing.
so yeah, so that is interconnectedness. Now I went and I was doing a little research and I'm like, okay, well, if we had to pick some goddesses, because this is the Divine Feminine show, who would best represent interconnectedness? And as Heather has already introduced at the beginning of the show, we've chosen to stick with just the three. Of course, there's many others that could be presented here, but we're just going to stick with the Gaia, Isis, and Spider Woman. So for me, I've chosen Spider Woman because of the web and the whole visual that I just provided you in Indra's net from Buddhism. But Spider Woman is actually mythology from Native American. Here in Canada, we call it Indigenous. So I will use those words interchangeably here on the show in respect for both. So the mythologies of Spider Woman, also known as Grandmother Spider, have been found in many Indigenous or Native American cultures across the globe, which I found interesting, because if you look into certain mythologies, typically, it sort of sticks to one area. But, being that we have our beautiful Native and Indigenous brothers and sisters around the globe, it was really interesting how Spider Woman sort of found her way to weave, if you will, across many different tribes. Now, I will start by saying that the information that I found out here was very not as deep as I would like to go into it, because it's sort of mysterious in a way that because Grandmother Spider finds herself in many different tribes of our Native American peoples, I feel that parts of her stories are sacred to certain tribes and that we are not privy to that information. And I completely understand and respect that. So the information I did find, I'm very grateful that it was shared out to everyone to enjoy. So some specific tribes, though, that I found associated with Grandmother Spider are the Navajo and the Hopi tribes in Arizona. Actually, there is part of a canyon that is specifically, they say, where she has been seen in Arizona. And just flipping my page. Okay, so some snippets of information I found about Grandmother Spider. Again, they span across multiple Indigenous cultures. So these bullet points that I'm going to share with you, they didn't really point back to one specific tribe, so just kind of keep that in mind. And if there's anyone watching in the audience or watching back and you know more information, as you are Indigenous yourself or you're related, please feel free to share, because I am like so intrigued by Spider Woman that if there is any information that we are privy to, I would really appreciate that. So Grandmother Spider, or Spider Woman, has said to be the creation goddess. She's considered to be the creatrix of the world. She literally spun all living things into being with her web. She uses her magical power to weave the fabric of time. And she also is considered the center of the great connected web that we just visualized that spans across the universe. So if you can picture, she sits in the middle of it, and she sort of, as you know, like what a spider does is they can pull at each one of those strands to sort of manipulate it. And I think that she's there throughout our lives to try to help us navigate that as best as she can, or best as we can. Of course she can. Okay, so then she's also known as the creation of the stars that spread across the web like lace dew in the night sky. So it's just kind of a cool analogy, like when you look up, or a metaphor, when you look up at the sky and you see all the stars, you can kind of picture Spider grandmother spider. And grandmother spider's web herself has been known to represent the interconnected energy of all the universe and life on Earth and beyond. She also represents unity by connecting all nations, tribes, and people within her web. And she is known to represent and offer guidance and resourcefulness throughout our lives. And she is said to have taught the art of weaving to our Native American and Indigenous brothers and sisters. So that was fascinating. I just have a little bit more to share about Spider Woman from some decks that I have. Now, this is the Goddess Power Oracle by Colette Baron Reed. Not my favorite oracle, but she was in here, so I am going to just share the information that is in here. So Spider Woman here is depicted as such. It says co-creation.
I love that, really. Mm-hmm.
And it says here. Okay, so from the rich red earth, the Navajo goddess, they're calling it in this book, they're calling it Navajo Goddess Spider Woman. This is why this deck is, it's good, but it's not complete. And I really don't like when certain cultures are misrepresented or not all the information is there. And so please just take this with a grain of salt. We know that this isn't all the information about grandmother spider, and we're respectful of that, okay? But the Navajo Goddess Spider Woman rises up to help you weave your dreams into the fabric of reality. She is here to remind you that your vision of the form of your desire is not as important as its essence. Knowing why you want to create something and what motivates you, what inspires you, and what beauty you're dreaming to bring into life is key at this time. The collective dream is being manifested by the co-creative relationship between your imagination and the universe. So call to the best within you and weave your world into being with intentionality and humility. Remember, you can't control the form, accept life on life's terms. When the goddess Spider Woman appears, she heralds the creation of most beautiful dream that springs to life as if by magic. So stay with it. We need your dream to be added to this web of creation. And you must be accountable for your creations, though, especially when you discover that they are not truly reflective of your authentic desires or reveal, that they belong to only your ego. It's not enough to turn your back and hope they'll go away. If you have hurt someone else, you must repair that broken strand of the web. If you have manifested something you're not prepared to commit to, be humble and just release it until it's ready. The form is rarely the same as you imagine. You can always begin again by calling on Grandmother Spider's power, wisdom to co-create for help. Sometimes you might get caught up in the strands of web itself, only following the one you think is sparkly and matches what you want. This fosters the illusion of separation, like we talked about, right? Spider Woman offers you the alignment task of recalibrating your position. With her help, you can move out of seeing separation everywhere to seeing the truth that all life is interconnected and sacred. So I thought that piece was beautiful, so I wanted to share that.
Oh, yes.
And then one more piece of information comes from this. It's called
I know that deck.
The Witch Oracle, Woman in Total Control of Herself. This is a really great deck. It's, oh my gosh, if you don't have it, it's wonderful. I love it. So this one, I really like this image of Spider Woman because in my mind, Spider Woman is wise and old and like a crone. You know what I mean? And so here she is here.
Let me put you on the...
I love that.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite cards out of that deck.
Yeah. So that's really how I envision her, like of this like old soul. And so there's like a little bit of a write-up in here. I'll just show, maybe you can see it better here, so it's not so yeah.
Aww.
So
she's adorable.
So in here what they do is they just share a Native American story about Grandmother Spider. So again, this is kind of cool because this is another story from another tribe. Now, the only thing is they don't say what tribe, they just say Native American, so that's okay. But just keep in mind that they didn't specify which. So an old Native American story about Grandmother Spider goes like this. Once upon a time, a mighty hunter went searching for a symbol of hope and survival for his people. He embarks on a quest to find their sacred animal, wondering if elk or deer or buffalo might appear. But instead, he runs into a giant spider web, face first, meeting Grandmother Spider. Why have you interrupted me, Grandmother? You're not powerful like buffalo or swift like deer. How am I to share you as a symbol of power? Grandmother Spider answers, you who run over the plains and forests looking for a symbol like deer, buffalo, animals that roam the meadows in search for sustenance, spending so much energy. How much more powerful am I that I can build a net and let my food and my answers come to me? I have no travel. I have no big expenditure of energy. I simply build my silk net and I let sustenance come to me. Like, damn, yes, girl. And then it says, now is the time to build your net. The answers, the resources, and the solutions will come to you. A woman in control of herself creates an intentional web. She lines it with silk and hope, thoughtful preparation, and badass skills. Okay. Then she invites, she waits, and she watches. She trusts Grandmother Spider's example and allows the answers to come to her. That's so beautiful. So
Yes, lots of love for
Very
her in
wise.
chat.
oh,
Very
And Dancing Soul Sister said also there's a spider goddess in Africa as well, Anansi, if I remember her name correctly. So have to look her up as well too.
yes, and I did hear as well. There in the Mayan cultures, like the indigenous people of the Mayan cultures, there's actually a temple created for Spider Woman over there as well. I didn't, I wasn't able to really add that to my notes because, like I said, you can really go down the rabbit hole with the whole interconnectedness and the Spider Woman, and I didn't want to like eat up all of the time, but.
And Smir says that there's one in the Divine Animal Tarot. Should be mentioning it tomorrow.
Okay.
During our TTT tomorrow on Ray's channel. And
I was wondering if there was any other decks that had Spider Woman. So if anybody knows, let me know. I want to know. Okay.
And Gypsy JJ and
JJ, hey.
So yes, Gypsy, it's nice to have her back. And let me see. So that story is amazing. And for Carolyn's birthday, Peter gave her earrings and a necklace with the Ankh and the Ra. Oh, that's so sweet.
That's cool. How powerful.
Now, I don't know, Garnet, who he mentioned Old Mother Shipton. I don't know. He's in England, so this might be an English connection to a spider goddess. He says prophesied Old Mother Shipton, so I'm not sure. And Dark Goddess Tarot, for example. Okay. She is the Hained Woman in that deck for the animal. Okay. So yes, and I have okay. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yes, I am too.
Yep. He's in the UK. Love from across the pond. So alrighty, thank you, Ange. Well, Nancy, how are we going to follow that up now?
I know. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks for coming. We'll see you next week. No, just kidding. So thank you, Ange. And I'll give it over to Nancy, who chose, of course, Gaia.
I chose Gaia because I feel very close to Gaia. I always have. I'm a hippie crone tree hugger. And I have a few pictures that I printed off. I think everybody maybe in their mind has a thought of how she looks. This is one that's very prevalent. I have a little journal that has this on the front of it. It's made by Peter Popper Press. But this is the one that I love.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Because it shows her creating our planet Earth. And that's what I love. What I thought I would do when I started preparing for this, I thought I would write a poem, and I was going to entitle it Gaia's Landscape. But what happened was I just did automatic writing. And it's not a poem, it's a message. And so I thought I would read it, and then I would do a little bit more on Gaia. As we look upon our world, planet Earth, and all its modern additions, we see skyscrapers, electronic wonders, uncountable things that demand exorbitant stashes of money. We see self-indulgence that is generally incapable of discernment. Enough? There's never enough. There is always the need for more and more and more. We appear to never be satisfied or sated. The goddess Gaia watches, and she waits, watching and waiting for us to see what is truly and eternally important in the magnificent scheme of things. Her beautiful creation of millennia is trashed and burning. Darkness tippy-toes encroaching on the light, patiently stealing parts of it. Here is where we as light workers come in. With our angels and guides, with the unfathomable wisdom of our ancestors, we can embrace the true essence of Gaia, becoming her eyes, ears, and heart. See her vision for our world. Because you see, that very vision was planned at the beginning of planet Earth's formation. All the trillions and trillions and trillions of light souls held their collective breath and saw the vision of Gaia's creation blaze into being. There was a feeling of deep, everlasting fulfillment, and it was perfect until mankind walked on it. Woman, embodying the promise held in the core of Gaia, in their hearts and wombs. This was the birth of divine feminine. This awareness grew and flourished until the ways of the world became enslaved to power, want, greed, and excesses. The divine feminine was trod upon and almost vanquished. But deep, deep in the core of Gaia, the initial spark remained, waiting to be rediscovered, remembered, and rekindled. If ever there was a time to completely embrace the vision and power of Gaia, it is now. Will you carry Gaia's torch and keep it blazing? Our bodies came from the earth Gaia created. Our souls long for her beauty, sustenance, love, and guidance. Gaia holds all of us in her womb. The potential is more than we can comprehend. We have only to accept the challenge and carry the torch in this lifetime, striving to ascend, being the light. Let it burn in our hearts and wombs and souls forevermore.
Wow.
And that's
Whew,
what I have.
that's powerful, Nancy. Wow.
And
Yeah.
what
Garnet says that's lovely. Yeah.
what I wanted to talk about was embracing Gaia. And I mean, I think most of us love nature, and we know that we need to be grounded. This is a picture. I took a picture of this. This is a picture of my altar to Gaia.
Oh, I love that statue. I want it.
Yeah.
She's beautiful, Nancy.
And when I look at this, I see, how our world is pregnant with possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted us all to think about how we can truly connect to Gaia. There are gemstones that are associated with her. I have a lot of this moss agate.
Mm-hmm.
I love moss agate. And, when you're meditating, you can hold this in your hand. Usually I use my non-dominant hand, my left hand. Another one is smoky quartz. This is a grounding stone. You can use this when you're grounding, when you're imagining the roots coming from your feet and going deep within planet Earth down to the fire where Gaia resides. And also the stone of green adventuring is considered a stone associated with Gaia. There are herbs that are associated with her. Rosemary for protection, lavender for calming and soothing, Gaia's nurturing essence, thyme for courage and strength, basil for love and protection and prosperity. Patchouli, I love to wear patchouli.
Mm-hmm.
Earthy and grounding aroma, just, it's beautiful. Chamomile is gentle and calming, and dandelion, resilient and transformative. It's linked to Gaia's cycles of growth. And there are certain cards in the tarot that are associated with Gaia. The Empress, the High Priestess, the World, the Hermit, the Ace and Ten of Pentacles, the Hanged Man or Woman, and the Wheel of Fortune. And finally, I think it's important that when we work with, well, I'm speaking about the goddess Gaia, but when we work with any goddess, we need to have a sacred space. Now, I used to have a sacred space in a closet. I moved everything out of the closet and I put a little desk in there and pictures and a lot of my gemstones and things. And my husband came into the room one day and he says, "What are you doing in the closet?" You know, I was sitting in there, you know, and I said, "Well, this is my sacred space." And he said, "That's awful small." And what he did was he knocked out part of the wall and made an arch and made the extra bedroom that we had into my sacred space. So I have a large sacred space, but a sacred space could just be your bedside table, or, you know, just a place where you put out things that are sacred to you. Candles, you know, be sure that you ground yourself. You have an opening invocation. There might be certain words that you would say that gets you a ritual that gets you in the right head space and heart space to connect. And you can put offerings out for your deity. For Gaia, what I do is I put dandelions on the altar and rose petals and just let them dry there. And the most important thing is to be sincere and have an open heart. And that is what I have on Gaia. And I think that, you know, we are all drawn to a specific deity. I have been working with Caradwin, but my heart is with Gaia. It always has been. And so I'm really thankful that Ange wanted to discuss this topic of interconnectedness and the goddesses, because as light workers, as people that are striving to ascend and to fulfill our potential, it's important that we all are connected and that we work together. Because we are the light. You know, that's what I try and do in my readings, is, you know, positive readings, because we're very, very important. We're very important to the world and what's going on now. And I'm thankful for the goddess Gaia, because she helps me make sense of it all. And that's what I have.
Oh, that's beautiful, Nancy.
Beautiful.
Gypsy JJ had a request. She was saying, "Please, Nancy, show the cards again. Thank you, lovely lady." I don't know if she meant the pictures.
You mean the pictures? What I can do is I can take pictures of these, And well, actually, I have pictures of them because I printed them off, and I can put them on my community page. And you know, if any of you would want to print them off, this is the one that I love. And
The
then,
first one you held up, I actually have that too. And the
Yeah.
book that I got her from, she was called Celine the Moon Goddess. So it's interesting.
Really? Well, it's you know,
she's beautiful both
this is-
ways.
yeah.
Really.
And then of course this was the final
Yes.
one. When I saw her, I
love her.
I just had to, because she has all of these, like you were talking about. You see the indigenous symbols that are on her legs.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that.
And let's see. Thank you, Allison. She says, wonderful discussion, ladies. She's been listening and have really enjoyed this. Now she's got to go walk her little pup. So thank you, Allison. Enjoy your walk. And
Yeah.
Carolyn shared, we grow our own vegetables, and Peter thanks Gaia when he waters. He asks for permission to take a vegetable and then plants a vegetable to replace what is taken and thanks Gaia. That's gorgeous.
That's beautiful.
Oh,
That's beautiful.
I love Peter even more, if that's
Yeah.
possible. So Gypsy says, okay, thank you, thank you. I wish for a veil like hers for my wedding. Congratulations, JJ.
Yes.
Congratulations, my dear. So Nancy, before I let you go, I didn't know if you knew of this, but here, let me put me on the big screen. There is a stone in my book called Gaia's Stone.
I do not have one of those.
Okay, so you have heard of Gaia's Stone. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Isn't it beautiful? And of course it's green.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's they're taking the stone. I think it's like the leftover, like lava, residual leftover lava from Mount St. Helens, I believe it is. From Mount St. Helens, and so when it's heated up and reliquefied, they're coming out as the green stones. So they're calling them Gaia stones. So yes.
Wow.
And Garnet says dandelion coffee made from the roots, the leaves can be eaten just like lettuce. So you were referring to the dandelions. So that's beautiful.
I have heard of that. I have had dandelion root tea, Garnet, but I've never had dandelion coffee.
All different sorts of coffees now.
Yes, I've had mushroom coffee. Love it. Right now, I like matcha tea.
I got hooked onto the hibiscus because of Ramon.
Yes.
Ramon got me hooked on the hibiscus. So I'm not going to be able to do full justice to Isis because I have Isis for today. And we'll probably be doing a separate show on Isis. I want to focus on some of the Egyptian goddesses, some that people aren't very familiar with. And Carolyn says, Amanda and Heather, I have been blessed with Peter, and he's been blessed with you too. You both are a beautiful pair, you and your fur babies. Yeah. So for my little bit, I'm going to share, because she is in the new deck that I have called Goddess of the World, and she's very powerful looking in this. However, for me, I'm just going to put me up on a little. For me, though, there are a lot of beautiful representations, but for me, there's no real symbology of the Egyptian culture. It's just, she's beautiful. She's very model-like, but to me, I don't connect as much with this image with Isis as I have done with some others. Now, from the Goddess Oracle by Colette Baron Reed, one of my favorite, if not my favorite artist for tarot these days is Jenna Della Gratalia. And what I love about this is that for me, everything is here for Isis. There's the beautiful horns on her head, her beautiful, and within her hands, it's like it could be a heart, it could be a vase where the souls of the people are kept that are weighed. And I love the culture, the symbology is all included in this particular image of Isis, excuse me. And for this deck, she's known as Rebirth. and I'll get to her in a second because I have a couple books. And but what's really nice too with this deck though is there's this little barcode on the back, and when you connect with the barcode, it gives you more information on the goddess than what is in here, and there is plenty. But what I love here is I found a little segment of it that gives a little bit of story about including her husband, Osiris, in which the Colette Baron Reed, the goddess of, well, not the goddess, the Colette Baron Reed, and my beautiful Goddess Days book didn't include mentioning him. And I think it's very important because that's the part of her sacredness, is her divine connection to the masculine, her husband, and part of the mythology. And hello, Agador. Yes, I hear you, beautiful. So I'm just going to read a little bit on the backstory with Osiris so that he gets proper mention in her story. And here it says, once upon a time, in the mystical land of ancient Egypt, there was a powerful goddess named Isis. She was known throughout the kingdom for her beauty, wisdom, and magical abilities. Isis was adored by all who encountered her, for her presence emanated a sense of peace and serenity. Isis's story began with a great tragedy. Her beloved husband, Osiris, was slain by his jealous brother Seth. Consumed by grief, Isis embarked on a quest to bring her husband back to life. With unwavering determination, she traveled far and wide, searching for the scattered pieces of Osiris's body. Through her profound knowledge and magic and healing, Isis miraculously reassembled the dismembered body of Osiris. She then used her enchantments to breathe life back into him. Osiris was reborn, and together, Isis and Osiris became the epitome of divine love and eternal union. Kind of like Carolyn and Peter, their connection to the Egyptian. Carolyn, you're the Isis, and Peter's your Osiris. So it continues on more with her, with her story and other things. But I'll save that for a later. But I just wanted to make sure that my inclusion of her today brought, her husband, that's beautiful, sacred, that balance into her story as well. And from the Goddess Book of Days, Isis, pursue the path of least resistance. You are preparing to soar. And yes, the son that they conceived was Ra. So in ancient Egypt, or was it Horus? Let me finish on here. Oh, it's the son Horus. Okay. In ancient Egypt, the goddess Isis was known as the source of all life. Although she was called by 1,000 names, one of her most sacred names was Iusaset, utterer of words, conceiver of worlds. She gave birth to the son, Horus. She brought the arts, language, medicine, weaving, and architecture, all culture, to her people. As you welcome Isis into your life, spread your arms wide in a gesture of awakening and receptivity. Breathe her grace deep into your body. Isis encourages you to honor the past by integrating what you have learned and can use from it. Release the rest. As the light of day dances the new into your life, break free from self-imposed restriction. Say out loud what is bothering you. This may be a perfect time for limiting your dependence on material things and external trappings. Learning on unstable supports can set you off balance. An Isis woman is self-supporting. Stand tall. Keep your spirits lifted. You are the author of your own life. Say it the way you see it. Make it the way you want it. Rediscover the true shape of who you are without needing to conform to external standards. Isis is smiling with you. And the affirmation is, I am valuable and worthy of love. I am filled with enthusiasm and renewed vitality. I can breathe deeply and trust my own inner knowing. I can speak and create my world. So that's what I have for Isis today. I don't. Well, when it comes to crystals, I mean the Egyptians. Let's face it, they were advanced with energy, with healing, with the arts. Lapis or lapis, depending how you want to pronounce it. Lapis lazuli was grounded and used for painting. It was used in jewelry. Jaspers, gold, coppers, just incredibly beautiful inlays in all the pieces, especially that was found with Tutankhamun. And then this book here for the goddess, she's also about rebirth, which I think goes along with the interconnectedness, like mentioned in there, the connection of all things, the archetype, the blueprint, because with death is rebirth, and that's what the ancient Egyptians, valued and understood was the journey of the soul. And in this book here, it says the process of soul retrieval, resurrection, and rebirth is the theme recurrent through the stories of the Egyptian goddess Isis, and one that she invites you to address now. This is a powerful moment to see some of what you thought you lost go through a process of regeneration to live again. Like magic, the pieces of you that were considered lost in old wounds and stories are ready to be reclaimed in a healthier, more mature version. Where you were hopeless, now there is hope. Where you lost faith, you have the capacity for even more now. Where there was inequity and injustice, now you can see a better way. Where you were abandoned, now you can choose you. You are ready to face these parts of yourself and to gather them together as you step into a newer, more powerful version of yourself, your work, your relationships, and your creativity. Have courage. Let go of blame, claim your accountability, and then co create something better. You can do this. The goddess Isis has come to help you as a potent supporter in your growth. And her a message with her powers of reincarnation is you are not broken. Let that set in for all of us. You are not broken. You are not wounded beyond healing, and opportunities are not necessarily lost forever. Your insistence on defining yourself by your losses and wound stories are not serving you. Your alignment task is to fully accept things as they are. Choose to find a way to put the pieces back together. Let die what doesn't serve you and focus on what works. There is so much goodness to come from this situation, even if in this moment you feel trapped. There's a couple of other things, but it says here at the end, you have the key and use it. And so it would have been nice. I mean, this is beautiful how Colette writes, but it would have been nice if she could have connected pulling the pieces back together again. If she could have just mentioned briefly, like Osiris, reclaiming the pieces of her lost husband, you know, and bring back together. So, but it's all very beautifully written, and yeah. When I was younger, I had aunts. I was very much into Egyptian, into the Egyptian culture. I mean, as a child, into high school, couldn't figure out what was going on, and I had a reading done. I hope you might, ladies, don't mind me sharing this, but I had a reading done, and well, it wasn't intentionally to find a past life, but a friend of my mother's looked at me and she says, "You want to know why you're connected to Egypt? One of the reasons why you're connected." And I said, "No," and I said, "But I would like to know." And she said, she goes, "You were a princess back in a past life." And I'm like, "Okay." And she goes, but your brother murdered you. He drowned you.
Whoa.
She goes, in the Nile. And I got shivers because Danielle did not know that when I was a little girl, this all came full circle for me. And I'm still getting goosebumps even retelling it. I learned this at age 15. I was 15 or 16. When I was younger, I was about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years old. My mom left me alone in their swimming pool. I tried to get out on my own. And I slipped over and I fell in. And I remember seeing myself floating down. And it wasn't until later I found out who saved me. In this lifetime, my brother saved me from drowning. So I feel like that was a full circle. So it's interesting how sometimes certain goddesses, energies, the influences are here and how they touch us in our life. With you, a spider woman or grandmother spider woman. And Nancy, with your connection to Gaia, and Kara, one, the dragon, the earth mother, the energy. And then me with, Egyptian, just one of the past lives. But yeah, so it's amazing how like the world card we come around, and with Isis, she is definitely the high priestess. There's no doubt about it. In in the tarot, for me, she is definitely the high priestess. I didn't give time to figure. I wasn't thinking though, Nancy. That was amazing when you're like, "Well, I looked at the tarot and I feel like she's associated with," and I was like, "Oh." But for me, automatically, it was, the high priestess. And if you think of it, she could also be the Hierophant, the keys in Colette's book. She has the key. You have the key, the wisdom, the knowledge, the magic, the healing. She could also be the magician or the mage, depending the high priest. Yeah. So yeah. And no coincidence. Nope.
No.
So oh, Carolyn, don't make me cry. and you and Peter bless me and us as well. Isis, yes, Isis is the mother of Horus. So yeah, and that's what I have.
That's beautiful, Heather. Thanks for sharing your personal story there too. Yeah. That kind of that it really did.
I wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah. Wow.
I wasn't even thinking about it, but then as I was reading that and we were talking about how it just came like hey, let's tell the story. I mean, I've told it a couple times, but it just felt like this was an opportunity for me to be able to,
for sure,
to share that. So, thank you.
Beautiful.
Let's see, the high priestess in the tarot of Saint Croix. I don't know the of Saint Croix. Oh, I know. I've been looking at Egyptian decks too, but something really quite hasn't resonated. There's a couple that have, but I kind of have to watch what I spend now.
Yeah.
Moving forward, with next year and relocating. So, I don't know. There has been a few. And I'm like, ooh. Julie Kutsia Watts also has a beautiful deck too.
Yeah, actually, I've been in touch with her. So since Carolyn, thank you again, Carolyn. I know I keep thanking you, but I'm so grateful. Ever since Carolyn, shared my connection with Egypt and how I used to be a priestess, or I still am. Who am I talking about? I still am a priestess. But really, I would like to explore that a lot more, in terms of that. And Julia Kushia Watts' Journey into Egypt Tarot. For those who don't know who Julia Kushia Watts is, please go check her out.
She's amazing.
So she has many decks out, but I will tell you, the Journey into Egypt deck specifically was a really strong channeling that she had in waking life and in dream life. Some of the images that she created, she's an artist, of course, she wouldn't have known. And then when she sort of reflected on it, like, wow, how would have I known that place looked like that, or that person took place? The connections will give you chills. And I have followed Julie for many years. I used to see her all the time over on Amber's channel, Lavender Moon. I really miss Amber. Amber, if you're watching this, come back. We love you and we miss you. but there's a connection there with Julie, and talking about interconnectedness. Julie, Kushia Watts, and Amber. So on the backs of one of the card decks that Julie created called Ancestral Path Tarot, there's a nice like colorful orb that appears on the back of the cards.
Mm-hmm.
And Amber had a channeling. She channeled a whole book on the art of cosmic creation, and there's an orb that appeared to Amber that was identical to that orb that appears on the back of the cards.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes, and
Ooh.
then to take it a step further, there's a woman named Aminat, and she created a deck called the Iami Oracle. I interviewed her on my channel years ago. I was one of her biggest cheerleaders in, telling her you got to make this creation come to life, because in working with the Journey to Egypt Tarot, suddenly Aminat was getting channeled messages from her own ancestry in Nigeria to create an oracle based on the Orishas. And then out comes this, and it's such a powerful oracle. So she was inspired by Julie. Amber ties in with Julie. So I just feel like I just got chills. Like,
yeah, it's all connected.
It is all interconnected. And so, yeah, I've decided that I'm going to splurge and get myself the Journey into Egypt Tarot for my birthday. I have to wait to gather the money for it, because it is pricey, but it's worth it, because I mean, it's a work of art. I mean, she deserves it. She's a beautiful artist. And so I'm going to go ahead and order that for myself for my birthday to try to deepen my connection with the Egyptian ties. And I know Amanda, Tropical Empress in Spirit, I think she's getting that deck as well. So it's going to be really cool to try to deepen that connection. So again, thank you, Carolyn, for sharing that information, because it's allowed me now to explore a different...
Connecting the dots.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The World Wide Web.
Yes.
So Garnet, one of them, they went down with a ship and then brought... Oh, I think they were talking about something else, because Carolyn was saying Garnet. Oh, I think she was talking to Garnet. Okay. Yeah, because Garnet was talking about Cleopatra's Needle in London. Okay, so I was like, wait a minute, what? And thank you, Sonia, for stopping by and hanging out with us. I don't know who Sophia is, but I'm glad that you're in touch with her and she's doing well. So thank you. And so, ladies, we were at 6:17. Did we want to do like to end the show, maybe do a collective reading for everybody?
Sure.
That sounds good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put, let's see. Oh, no, wait a minute. I can't put Isis in the deck because I want to focus on Isis. So I was like, oh, there goes that idea. But however you want to do your readings now, I just kind of got to figure out now how I'm going to do this.
I have mine is easy peasy because I got a new deck. Imagine that, me with a new deck.
I know what deck I can use, Amanda.
I don't know if you can see it. It's the Golden Keys of Gaia.
Oops! I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. There you go, Nancy.
It's new. It came out in July.
Ooh.
So, and it's broken down into different suits. But what I'll do is this is the back of the deck. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah. So, I'll pull 3 cards for the collective.
Okay.
Is that about what you're thinking about, Heather? Or
pull whatever you want to pull, sweetheart. You know that. You know how we flow, how we go. And deck again, Ange, please. Oh.
I'm going to type it in, yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure which one because we were talking about a couple of them there, but I think we have Julie's. And Carolyn says, you are welcome, but it is you who are being called back into the fold, Ange, Carolyn said.
Aw. Thank you.
And I get to use my new deck from Amanda, so perfect. Yay, my first official reads. Okay, Sonia. Oh, her daughter had a stroke a while back. Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm glad she's doing well, and everyone just keeps sending the prayers and the well wishes to her. 41. Yeah, you never know when you never know where life is going to take us. Oh, that's one of my favorite cards.
Okay, I have my cards.
All righty.
The first one is the card of surrender. It says, dance with what is rather than what isn't. Make the most of the situation. It's hard to surrender, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Find balance. Put yourself out of your procrastination and better balance your time between work, play, spirituality, exercise, and relationships. Third card is the card of ritual. Break free from an outdated cycle. Change your daily routine to make life more meaningful.
Oh, I like her.
And the bottom of the deck, I always go for the bottom of the deck for the energy of the reading. And it says, shine bright.
Wow.
Stop dimming your light to make others comfortable for fear of being judged. Shine brighter. And we all need to shine.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And I'm going to put Ange.
I'm not ready yet.
Oh, okay. So we won't put Ange. We'll put me.
Thank you.
A couple of my favorite cards from this deck. And let me grab the box. It was a lovely gift from the lovely Tropical Empress in Spirit, Amanda. The Wild Woman Rising. Of course, the artwork is by my girl, Jenna Della Gratalia. Love you, Jenna. And it was written by Angie Sullins. And I'm still looking at the book, but I'm just trying to get me attuned to the image of the cards first. But one of my favorites is just absolutely beautiful. I love this. Remember kindness. And I love just how the elephant is just nudging her. And she's just got her eye. It's like she's so happy. She's so in bliss that this elephant is reaching out to touch her heart. And it's like the elephant is reminding her to remember kindness, not just towards others, but to ourselves as well. They all say elephants never forget. And in this beautiful instance, he's reminding her for her to love herself, just as much as, she loves other people. And then the next one of my favorites, Fight Like a Girl. I like that too. And it's number 13. So, fighting like a girl, tapping into that strong feminine. And this is for the men too. You have a feminine side, just as, we have a divine masculine side. So it's that, because, that we get that, we're raised with that mindset of, girls you're supposed to be soft, kind of quiet, demure, all that. But a lot of that is finally cracking open. Society more days now is showing that, women in sports, yay to, I think it's the women's basketball team. I think they got gold in Paris. So it just shows, the strength, the perseverance that women have. We're able to have our menstrual cycles. We go through that pain during birth or when we have our. It just shows that we are an exceptionally strong gender. I don't even say gender, but we are. Well, maybe that's an interesting concept for another show. But to fight like a girl, tapping into that inner Isis, like in the book, be an Isis woman, tap into that magic, that creativity, that protection, that divine will. And then the last card I have is release perfectionism. And this is also beautiful too, because along with the Isis card that was said rebirth, we have releasing perfectionism, but butterflies are known about transformation and rebirth as well. And so releasing all these things that we hold on ourselves, our failures, like in the description with Isis, letting go of what we consider failures, imperfections, and just accepting who we are, where we are in our life, and not having to be perfect all the time. That we're allowed, we're capable, and we're able to make mistakes, and that's how we learn and grow. And that's what I have. So thank you, everybody, and I'll give you over to Ant.
Yay! All right. So, like I shared at the beginning, I read in a layered fashion, so it took me a little bit to get it all together. So thank you for allowing me that time. Okay, so first I pulled from the Earth Woman Tarot. It is currently one of my favorite decks to use. And the first card this came up for the collective is the Five of Pentacles. And then we have Temperance, and we have the Eight of Swords. So when I read all of these cards together, it is showing me that despite some current struggles that may be going on in all of our lives or even in the world, because we're talking about interconnectedness, so I'm sure that somehow these cards are all interconnecting into our lives somehow. Despite that, Temperance reminds you to please have patience, okay, in terms of the situation that's troubling you. But the Eight of Swords also comes out to remind you that you could potentially be part of getting in your own way of whatever this is. Okay, so sometimes it is a choice to stay in this energy of the Five of Pentacles, and the Eight of Swords kind of alludes to that by saying you can take off this mask, you can walk away at any time. You have the power to do that. You have the tools at your disposal. And one of the little charms that came out was a little clown face, and that usually reminds me to take off the mask. And that's sort of the part of the Eight of Swords, right? Like you take off the mask and move on.
Ooh, I like that.
You're going through. And then the next card comes from the Tarot of Her deck, and it is the Death card. So, you know, this particular reading is not about actually dying. It is about transformation. I'm sure we've all heard of that analogy before, but this is really transforming all of this energy that we just talked about. Okay, so what came up with that is this little bowl of eggs. And that is, as you know, eggs can be transformed into many different things. You can put it into baking or whatnot. And so that reminds you that these struggles are not the end all be all. As a matter of fact, it may not feel like it right now, but what you're going through is actually adding to your life experience and your fuel to catapult you into whatever's next. Okay, and then I got two more, and both of those come from that deck that I showed you earlier, the Sacred Rebels, and that is Free from Judgment and Free to Love. And the word wants to be written. Okay, so how this ties into it, and there's a few more charms to go with this, is that we all just want to be connected and loved, and I think sometimes it's hard out here in terms of finding the right people to connect with, finding a safe enough place to open up to is really what I'm getting off of this as well. And then the word wants to be written, how that ties in is that you don't have to struggle so hard to find what it is that you should be doing, your sole purpose. What am I here to do? Another way to put this is life just wants to be lived. The word just wants to be written. How you show up every day in life, how you live, how you present yourself is enough. And through that, often is when you will find your piece to the puzzle of where you fit in all this. And that's where this little, I think it's supposed to be a waffle actually, but I look at it as a piece of pie, like the piece of the puzzle, the piece of this interconnectedness that we all were just talking about. And this little Precious Moments girl came out, and that is about love and acceptance, of accepting one another and knowing your part in this interconnected web. And then just one more little charm that came out was this here, and it's like a little fidget spinner. And what that reminds us of is sometimes we're so busy fidgeting and worrying and sort of stuck in this energy, right? That we're not realizing that we are affecting those around us. We're affecting our outcome in life. And that if we just go ahead and, you know, take the mask off, be authentic, like I saw somebody chat in the comment like that, you know, that's really what you're being called to do. So just remember, to step forth into your power. Know that you are being supported by this huge, vast web that we just talked about today of interconnectedness. So whenever you feel like you're alone, just know that that's not true. All right.
Wow, that was beautiful. And Nancy, did you see that 9 of Swords? No, not 9 of Swords, 8 of Swords, excuse me.
Yeah.
That's her favorite card out of the tarot deck is the 8
Oh, yeah.
of Swords.
Yeah,
I love that purple.
Yeah, it has great significance for me. I wanted to show something. Have you heard Agador singing a lot right now?
Yeah.
He is doing something he has never done before. And I think it's interesting because I was talking about Gaia and, you know, the element of nature. And he is talking to a tree branch in his cage.
Oh my gosh.
He has never done that before.
Wow.
I mean, I couldn't. He's looking at me like, so what's wrong with that?
I've been enjoying the lovely serenade while we do our readings. He's been there chirping away for us.
Tree branch. I mean, it's crazy.
I talk to trees too, Agador. It's okay.
Yeah.
And I like to hug them
he's
too.
Kind of trying to hug a tree, but he can't exactly.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Aww.
So
Such a silly bird.
oh, he's a beautiful bird. But yes. So to start off, Gypsy says, that's wonderful, lovely, Nancy. Thank you. Carolyn had said that the elephant makes her cry. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And Gypsy also says, be authentic, take off the mask.
Yep.
Carolyn says, thank you, ladies, for your kind sharing of your knowledge. Garnet says, just be impeccable. Yes.
Impeccable with your word. Yeah.
Rain says, I love all 3 readings, ladies. Great advice for everyone. Thank you. I love your trinkets readings, Ange.
Yes.
And Amanda says, the collective reading is so beautiful. Thank you, ladies. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here. And Garnet says that Agador is a beautiful blue. Yes, he is.
Mm-hmm.
That's a blue bird. Yes, it is. Lovely blue bird. Let's see. JJ said, oh, that is so natural for him. So wonderful to use. Mm-hmm. Yes, we thought that he was going to fly around and try to land on Mommy's tree branch. He goes, but I don't think I could sit on that one, Mom.
No.
So, Ange, it was so awesome to have you back. So good to be able to read with you again. It's been ages.
Mm-hmm.
I miss your energy. I love that you're back. Thank you so much for sharing that with Nancy and I and with Chad today. Do you have anything going on this week that you want to share with your channel? Anything you're like maybe releasing a video or anything you want to share?
I am working on a few videos. I don't have an exact date that I'm going to release them. So just if you would like to follow me, go ahead and subscribe. Mm-hmm. I do have a collaboration in the works with Benny from The Fool's Apprentice coming up. Mm-hmm. So
I do too.
I did speak with him behind the scenes a day or 2 ago. So just be on the lookout for that on his channel. Very cool. Actually, I'm doing one of the cards of the 78 that he's doing. I'm doing one of those. Mm-hmm. And then because he actually, it kind of morphed into that, interconnected, if you will, because we were actually talking about a different collaboration that we're working on. And then through that, he says, oh, by the way, like, are you available for one of the cards? I kind of need somebody to cover this particular card. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. And you'll have to watch to see what card it is because it really came to me in perfect timing in my life. So I'm also going to weave that into my sharing, which I think, again, it's all interconnected. So there's no coincidence. Mm-hmm. It's only synchronicity. So thank you so much for having me. I really, really, truly enjoyed myself. And I'm just so glad to be back and to be able to share my energy with you all.
Yes. And
Yes.
Carolyn says, and you have the spirit of a hawk with you always.
Ooh, hawk. Love it. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Actually, I just
And
saw a
let's
hawk yesterday too, so that was
Ooh, there you go. There's your confirmation. And speaking of confirmation, like the readings this morning, Nancy, you got anything else going on this week?
Well, I may be doing something this weekend with Ginger Faye and Farah. I'm not sure, but I have reworked my sacred space, so I'm going to do a video of that for my channel, and I'm also going to get back to showing different groupings of my oracle decks that I have that was requested. So that's what I think.
Very nice. And for me, let's see, today's Monday. Like you said, Nancy, the days just blur into one another.
Yeah.
I'm like, today is a Monday again, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern on Spiritual Rage channel, Jackie's Crystal Moon, and I will be doing our next TTT, and we'll be discussing one of the cards is the Death card. I can't remember the one that comes before it. My brain's just kind of like, ugh. But
the
and it's
Hanged Man.
interesting. The Hangman, thank you. And it's interesting because tomorrow is the 13th, and that's the same number for the Death card in the tarot. So yes, TTT.
We had the Death card show up today. So.
Yes, and the Rebirth card with Isis. I love how again that all interconnected.
Yep.
Now Tuesday I haven't heard back from Ramon. I don't know if we're doing Aylin Norman tomorrow night, but stay tuned. And if we are, I'll make sure that gets posted on my community tab. And then Friday, we have Robert Fierro, tarot coming back to hang out with Allison and Amanda and I. Not sure what topic it'll be. I know he's got a birthday on Thursday, so lots of birthdays this week. Also Miss Tarot D, I believe, is on the 15th. So we have lots of birthdays for Leos. And so that's pretty much it for now. So thank you again, ladies. Thank you everybody for joining us. And we hope you have the rest of your lovely evening, or as Christina, have the rest of your beautiful day. And we'll see you on one of the next shows or someone else's chat. So have a great week, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Mwah.